Welcome, everybody, guests and candidates, to the 2025-2026 HESA Meet the Candidates event, where you can meet the candidates for the HESA election. It is campaigning week, and this is a great way to start off campaigning week, learning about all of our wonderful candidates. And I believe voting starts next week. I'm not running, so I didn't pay attention to dates this year, but I believe it opens up on Monday. But we will be recording and we will be posting the video so that people who are not able to make it are able to watch later. And we're going to use the timer feature. We're going to give everybody, just to go over the rules, we'll do one question at the beginning where everyone's going to get 3 minutes to answer. And then all of the other questions after that will be 1 minute. And Kirsten and I are going to take turns alternating asking you guys the rules. And we're just going to go in order of how you're posted on the website, which is by role and then by last name alphabetically. So I will start by asking all of the candidates, and we'll just go in order for 3 minutes each. Why do you want this particular role? So we'll start with Jess.
Hi, I'm Jess Brooks. I want this role because, well, we need to keep continuing the incredible work we've been doing at HESA. I understand the institution. I understand what this organization means, what it can mean. We've been working on a strategic plan. And one of the things I can say that I brought to all of my roles that I've done for HESA, which is now two, is I'm really consistent. I have been in the chats and talking to each and every one of you to say, hey, what can we do to make things better? I want this to be a really inclusive environment where people are able to feel that they are Harvard. That is a big thing for me. One of the campaign promises I made last year was to start regional events, and I've been able to start getting the ball rolling on that, which has been really, really fun because people are starting to meet up and make friends and realize that, you know what, Harvard is everywhere. We are a distributed network, but that does not mean that we're in it alone. And then for this role specifically, I've been doing so much of this role as vice president this year. I know the hours it takes to do this role specifically. I have been in the meetings with all of the dean and OSA and DCE. I have handled emergencies as they've come up. I have made sure that I have made myself available to the student body in order to make sure that we are achieving the goals that they have. And now we have this incredible strategic plan, which came out of this, which helped us honestly heal a lot of our relationship issues with DCE and OSA. And we're getting closer to student government status, which means when we're advocating for the student body, it has that much more value to it. And I really am just really grateful to have been in this position and have learned so much. And just, I've really loved being vice president, and I want to continue that work. I think if we can stabilize the organization, students will be advocated for in the best way. We can focus on a lot more of the fun stuff next year, like events, and we can focus on things that are really core to making sure that you have your identity seen within Harvard. And I will yield my time the rest of the way, but thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And Miranda is up.
Hi, everyone. How are you? My name is Miranda. For those of you who don't know, I am new to the board this year. I had the position of Director of Communication. I want this role. I love what Jess had to say. But why do I want this role? Because I think that I represent a fresh perspective and a changing of the tide. Transition is tough. In my election and campaign components, I say essentially that history is disruptive. And I think that everything that has been done up until this point has been historic. I love that she mentioned being recognized as an official student government. There has been so much background work done that I think it needs to be honored. However, I also think that having a transformation of how we approach things, how we manage things built on top of the foundation that we have is really, really important. I've spent the past year as the director of communications, listening to students and really building bridges. We were working on infrastructure this year. And I think that me being new and coming in allows me to not have a relationship that is challenging with anyone, right? So it's truly a fresh slate. And a lot of times when we're building bridges, we need a fresh slate to start because many times those sort of old patterns, habits, conversations still linger. That's what I noticed this year. I really believe in, again, elevating the voices of the students. I feel like there should be no one left out of the room. I'm running because I know what it's like to not always see myself represented. I'm a parent. I'm a single parent, actually. I am a small business owner. And I believe that my skill set, specifically my language skills, I do speak 4 languages: Spanish, English, AABE, and French. Spanish and English are fluent. AABE is fluent and French is conversational. But I feel because we're a global network of students, I can reach everyone on a global level. I think that this role gives me the platform also to serve, not just speak. I want to lead with empathy. I think that empathy is something that allows us to understand, right? And as we reach into the fabric of the overall Harvard community, I think that we need that empathy and we need a voice that is fresh and new. And I see my time running out. I'm so sorry. But to reach out and to make those bridges, make those connections with everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I we're missing one of the candidates for president, so we'll go right to the vice presidents. So Nathan is up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nathan Rogers, and I'm running for vice president. I'm going to say that if I had to ask about why I'm running, I'm running because I'm excited. I'm excited for the work that we've done. All right, a little bit about me. I've never missed a general assembly, and I've never missed a board meeting in the years that I've been a part of the HESA. And during that time, it's given me the ability to see ideas that come through. Sometimes some ideas work, sometimes they need to be revised, but I don't see it as experience versus new because if I had to put it down as anything, there is place for everyone at the table. All right, that's the thing that drew me to HESA because I know what it's like to feel like being an outsider. I started HESA, well, I started at Harvard during the pandemic. And pretty much for anyone who's ever done this, I had never done online school before. And so to be able just to be staring at a computer screen and not be able to have that ability to connect with my classmates or anything. It was very tough. And so HESA gave me a community. It gave me a purpose with Harvard. Right? It made me feel like I was a part of Harvard. Right? I was able to get past that imposter syndrome where we're not good enough, that we don't belong, right? That we are the Harvard light. And we found out that that the people I've been able to meet are brilliant. They're brilliant. They bring so much to the table. And guess what? They got to listen to me too. And it's that impression that put on me is the type that I want to put forth as vice president, because there's room for everybody. There's room for disagreement because that's how growth is made. All right. And to be able to watch the administrations that I've been able to be a part of over the past few years, watching them as they've built upon each other from strength to strength, I'm excited. I'm excited as a vice president. I'm excited as a HESA member. And hopefully when I get through this, hopefully I'll be excited as an alumni because HESA is Harvard to me. And I'm so grateful for the journey and I can't wait to see what's next. And with that, I'll yield up my time. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. And Eunice?
Hi, I'm Eunice. I'm very new to HESA and I decided to run for vice president. I was a little scared joining Harvard Extension School in the beginning. I wasn't sure if this is the right place for me. Would I be able to make a change here? Would I be able to match the academics here? I was just so many worries. And then once I got into classes and I met my professors and I got to meet with people in my region in Philadelphia who are also ALB students, I really had the opportunity to meet amazing people who are at all different stages in life. Some are parents, some are running national corporations, and some are making small changes in their community. And I had the honor to meet all kinds of students, and I really wanted to represent these students. And I was a silent supporter of HESA. I would follow all the campaigns since 2022 and vote every year. And I recognize that the leadership in HESA really changes the tone of Harvard Extension School in ways that are unexpected, whether it's events or connectivity and inclusivity. And I think that all of that is very important. And so I decided I want to run for vice president to truly connect with people and elevate our student voices. And I also wanted more recognition for our student body and for everything that HESA is doing from Harvard University and elevate our position within Harvard. And I yield my time.
Thank you. And it looks like Selena is up. Candidate for treasurer.
Hello,
Treasurer.
everyone. Yes. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Perfect. My name is Alina, and I'm very excited to be running for treasurer this year. I'm new to the board too, but I'm truly enjoying being part of HES community in the past year. It's a very diverse, supportive, and inspiring environment. So I really want to get back and contribute to this society. I believe good financial leadership can create foundation for a strong and thriving community. So with my background in accounting, I want to ensure our organization is financially healthy, transparent, and positioned to support more student-driven events and initiatives. I'm currently working as accountant at Before in New York City and hold a Master of Accounting from Washington University in St. Louis. I've also served treasurer in my high school. That was a long time ago. And I was a part of the Beta Alpha Psi, which is a business student organization when I was in master's school. So outside of the classroom, one of my most meaningful contributions have been volunteering with the IRS Volunteer Income Tax Assistance, the VITA program. Basically, I was helping the low-income family and individual to file their taxes accurately and on time. It reminded me that financial knowledge is powerful, and use that skill to uplift others is what real leadership is all about, and is why we're part of Harvard University community. So I also believe in making process easier for others, whether that's simplifying funding applications or providing clear updates on our budget. If elected, my top goal is to make our finances more transparent and accessible. I want every member to feel confident about where our funds are going and how they can request support for their ideas. And thank you so much for your time and consideration. I know I still have 1 minute. I'm very honored to serve as your treasurer and to make a fantastic year for HES. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we are up to Director of Technology. I have a video for Tim. I think he's actually second. So Robel will have, did I pronounce your name correctly? Is it Robel?
Yes, Robert.
Robel. I will have you go first. And Tim's is all one together answering all the questions. So when we get to him, I'm going to try to pause it at the right moment and hopefully get the answers to each of the questions. You may start.
Thank you. I only tend to be brief. So anyway, my name is Robel. I live in Seattle and I do attend the Harvard Extension. This is going to be my almost second year and will be done by 2026, it's systems engineering. By my background, I lead a technology company here in Seattle that does game monetization. So working with APIs and integration for the most part. And on my spare time, I volunteer. Volunteering is my purpose. It gives me joy. So I do volunteer in community organizations, mostly with technology leads. So far in the extension school, I haven't actively participated in any association, but through different classes and projects, I've come to know most students in my class and also understand the needs, the technology needs. So the reason I'm applying for this position is the technology and service tend to intersect, and that is basically what I usually tend to go for. And I'm hoping to make a positive difference in the life of our students and our social experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Okay, I cannot see any of you guys. Oh, here we are. Oh, hold on. I need to share the sound. Share computer sound. Ooh. Now I have two options. So mono or stereo. And I am not the director of technology and I don't know what either of those means. So if anyone knows which one I need to share, I would love your
Do the
feedback.
stereo. Do the stereo.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it will have an echo, I guess, but
Oh, it might have an echo.
yeah, it may have an echo, but it should be okay, I guess.
Okay, let me know if it does, and maybe I need to pause my own microphone, possibly. We will see.
Hi, this is Tim. I stepped into the role of Director of Technology just a few months ago, officially gaining access in December. Since then, I've developed a new concept for the HESA website, and we are now close to completing the transition from the old platform. Currently, my work contract is on hold so I can focus entirely on my studies. With just 2 classes and no family or other obligations now, I'm in a unique position to dedicate both time and energy to this role.
It looks like he combined his answers among all of the questions, so I'm just going to play the whole video. It's just 3.5 minutes. And this is the answers to all of the 4 questions that we are asking all candidates.
I've been attending HESA events that fit my time zone, including the General Assemblies and Professor Spotlights. I especially enjoyed the recent one with Professor Dr. Greenberg. As a math enthusiast, it really resonated with me. I've also been running the HESA Math WhatsApp group, which I started to create a space for students to connect over shared academic interests. One of my biggest ongoing contribution is supporting students through WhatsApp. I try to answer questions and help wherever I can. That's why I'm committed to building a strong, searchable Q&A section on the new website to make helpful information easier to find and more accessible to everyone. In addition, I think we would benefit from a permanent virtual study room with Zoom, a space where students can drop in anytime to connect, study together, or just talk. In small classes, study rooms may not exist, and in large ones, they can feel overwhelming. WhatsApp helps bridge that gap, but a shared virtual space for everybody would encourage more direct interaction. Another idea I really liked, original suggested by Miranda, is the concept of a virtual coffee break, a casual space to connect and take a break between studies. From a technical perspective, I want to implement HESA-wide login protection or a HESA login protected area on the website so students can access WhatsApp group links safely without exposing them to spam. I'm also exploring options for a smart Q&A feature, potentially powered by AI, to help answer common questions more efficiently. In one of my past roles, I had a large PMO team with around 12 colleagues where we developed shared systems to organize our works more effectively, including team-wide email accounts, much like we use here. I also use tools like Descript for video editing and can enhance and upload content to platforms like YouTube, as I've done with this video. My vision is to streamline communication and to centralize information through the website. While platforms like WhatsApp and Instagram are great for grabbing attention, the website should be your go-to place for up-to-date information, resources, and connection opportunities. And I'm here to make that happen. As the meeting starts at 3 a.m. my time, it may be difficult for me to attend live, but you can always reach out to me. On the election page, you will find my LinkedIn as well. Feel free to connect or message me if you have any questions or just want to chat. Thank you.
All right. And that was, just to clarify again, it was answering 4 questions, which I'll just quickly summarize. Why do you want the particular role? What previous work have you done transferable to this role? What other time commitments do you have, like work, family, volunteer work, number of classes, etc.? And how many HESA events have you previously attended, and which ones have you attended? So we are up to Paul, I believe. running for HESA Director of Community and Public Service.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Bosmer. I'm an ALM in Sustainability Studies at HES. And although I applied for this role, I feel like I didn't find this role. Instead, I feel like this role found me through chance and circumstances and synchronicity, if you will. And although I didn't realize what I was getting into when I began this endeavor as Deputy Director of Student Affairs for HESA, I quickly adapted and became an integral member of the HESA board. As a deputy, I've really stepped up to the plate to help overcome some of the challenges we face as an organization. And the processes of synchronicity and adaptation and creatively responding to change is a continuously unfolding process that I feel has laid this path for me as the next director of community and public service. And if elected, I will humbly accept this role. I realized that I wanted this role while I was volunteering at HESA's Harvard Square homeless shelter events organized by Kirsten von Reinholz. And seeing students come together for a common cause is just something that feels so profound to me. Students interacting with the community has the power to transform social paradigms and empower young people to gain a better understanding of what they're capable of. Fostering social change simultaneously fosters harmony within the student community as well. So we're getting the best of both worlds. And as Director of Community and Public Service, I will bring the Harvard community together to serve the broader community Harvard is situated in, because I was born and raised in Boston. I know this community because I was born into it. And I live here currently, so I can be here in person to make things happen. So thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to this opportunity.
Thank you. Now I'm going to hand it over to Kirsten for the next question.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Alrighty. So now question number 2 for all of you, and we'll be starting back at the beginning. Lindsay, are you going to be doing my timer or shall I?
I forgot we were going to do it for each other, and I kept hitting start. So it's either way, I have it. It's right in front of me, so it's easier to click than I thought it was going to be.
Perfect. If you'd like to go ahead, we'll just be doing 1 minute for these questions.
Oh yeah, I got to choose the number of minutes. I can do that.
Perfect. So question number 2 will be, what previous work have you done that is transferable to this role? 1 minute on the clock. Jess, this question goes to you first. I feel like I've been living this role. As vice president, I have seen every aspect of this organization, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the incredible. And with that, I have made sure to foster really incredible relationships with those students, but also my board members, to make sure that they feel empowered to do the things that they need done so that we can make the change that we need necessary. I'm always advocating on behalf of the students. At Harvard Graduate Council, I was advocating for HES, flying up or driving up every other week so that I could make sure that Harvard Extension was being represented on a much wider scale. I have taken this job incredibly seriously, and I've spent the hours and hours it takes to make this role work. And I'm excited to do that in my presidency, because I think that if you're not willing to put in the hours, you're doing a huge disservice to the students. And I am never going to do that. I've always been consistent, and I plan to continue to be that way forever. 1 minute on the dot. All right. And once again, what previous work have you done that is transferable to this role? Miranda, it is your turn next. And go.
Well, thank you. So I won't talk about just yet what I've done this year as Director of Communications. I want to tell you guys about who I am outside of HESA. So I am a CASA for the county that I live in. That's Court-Appointed Special Advocate for Children. I also am a part of several affiliations: the Authors Guild, WIFTA, which is Women in Film and Television Atlanta, the NALSA, which is the National Organization for Women's Safety Awareness. I'm also a part of something called the Black Girl Collective. Now, all of these things, what they have done that's transferable to this role, they allow me to create interactive social calendars, digital strategies, to create brand kits, to interact with people, to network, because networking is something that I think a president has to be able to do. Rather, you have to know how to talk to people and not talk at them, but to them and with them, and how to work with them and to meet people really where they are. The beautiful part about my job is I travel a lot. Oh, sorry.
So sorry. I always
Okay.
run over the clock too, so I can empathize. Thank you, Miranda. I appreciate it. Pierre Jean is not with us still, right, Lindsay? So we shall move on to the candidates for vice president, beginning with Nathan. Same question. What previous work have you done that is transferable to this role? Please go right ahead.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I've been very fortunate to have been able to be afforded the opportunities to serve in leadership positions within past HESA administrations. I've served in the past as executive treasurer. I've served as executive secretary. And this year, through the graciousness of current administration, Lindsay and Jess, I've been able to be presidential advisor. Before that, I was the president of the honor council at my law school. And beyond that, I was also the regional president for Tennessee Phi Theta Kappa. So I have to say, I am so fortunate to be able to be a part of an organization that allows to have leadership opportunities, to be able to grow, to be able to make mistakes, to be able to develop those skills. And I would have to say, I think it's made me well qualified and suited for any position within HESA. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. Then we have Eunice, I believe, next. Your turn to answer the same question. Please go right ahead.
Hi. So my major life project was Golden Beam EduCore, in which I served as founder and mentor. And it's an educational equity platform. And it started out as a small tutoring business, but it quickly spread to a college admissions guide for low income and first generation students. My mission is educational equity, which is the very value that HES was founded upon. And I think it's very important to empower students. And my leadership in education and my experience in communications will be used to empower remote and LLB ALM students. And whether I become VP or not, that's not important right now. Important is that I'm running and I really want to see more ALB students in leadership. And I think that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Eunice. Moving on to treasurer. Same question for you, Alina. Please go right ahead.
Thank you, Kirsten. Some background information about me as I have been living in Boston area for quite a while. I study in Bentley University, a business school in Boston. Some people might know Bentley University is a prestige accounting and finance school. So we have a lot of connection in the Northeast area in New York, in Boston. And also I'm an accountant. So I think I can be fully prepared for this position. And also I was a treasurer in high school. And also I'm part of business organization called Beta Alpha Psi. Outside of that, I like to help others. So if anyone have any financial questions or filing taxes, I know it's almost April 15th. So I'm happy to help with that as well. Definitely financial transparency and helping others easy accessible is very important in HESA. And that's the value I want to bring in the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elena. Moving on to Director of Technology, since we already heard everything from Tim. Robel, if you would mind answering the same question, please.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So the transferable thing I have is the heart to serve. I love serving others. And that's basically what I usually spend my spare time with here in Seattle. In addition to that, I lead a technology team with a focus on product and integration. So the technology skills are in a way transferable. And in addition to that, I have helped about 50 small business companies here in Seattle develop their WordPress sites, which would come in handy when we do the website transfers and updates. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Paul, would you mind answering the question for everyone?
Hello. Yeah, so as a lifelong learner, I've had various jobs. Most of them have only lasted a year or two, but in part, I would say that this is because I'm not afraid to fail and I learn from my experiences. And for some time now, I've prioritized schoolwork and only made as much money as I need to get by. I've worked as a farmer in California, I've worked as a rancher in Colorado, a landscaper in Georgia, and most states in between. In my opinion, nobody problem solves on the fly better than a rancher. Nobody understands the whole system better than a farmer, and nobody knows how to take a break better than a landscaper. While it may seem unclear how this is transferable, once you spend a whole farming season working in 115-degree Fahrenheit California sun, you realize how adaptable and resilient you truly are.
Thank you so much, Paul. Right on the dot. Then I'll yield the floor back to Lindsay.
All right. And another 1 minute time limit. So, and this, I don't think it'll even take a minute. So I think this will be a quick one. What other time commitments do you have? These roles are pretty time intensive, especially president and vice president. I've had some presidents have spent 40 hours. I've spent probably 30 hours a lot of weeks on it. So the question is, what other time commitments do you have, like work, family, volunteer work, number of classes, etc., just to get an idea of what all you're going to be trying to balance. And so we will start with Jess, 1 minute.
Yeah, so most of my time commitments are about the same. I have a husband and a very demanding dog. I'm not a parent yet, but my dog keeps me in line. Outside of that, I have only taken one class starting when I was a VP, specifically because I want to make sure that I have time for this. And I am now working and I am doing both. So I am making and carving out that time that is necessary, whether it be an emergency phone call or a quick note to admin following up on something that has just gotten lost in the sauce. So I have already been living this and I intend to also still continue with just one class, the one husband, probably two. And yeah, overall, that's it.
Thank you. Miranda?
Am I waiting? Okay, great. So I failed to share that I am an ALM degree seeking candidate in the creative writing and literature program doing my CPT work right now. And I will be in my residency in the summertime. I've come to Cambridge every semester. I fell in love with the area. And so when we talk about time commitments, my time is about to get really freed up. I'm not graduating until 2026. I wear multiple hats. Being a person I hold a bachelor's degree in Spanish literature and culture. I have learned how to balance everything. As a mom, you learn how to balance things. To Paul, I think it was, I worked on a 140-acre farm in Florida, so I know what you're talking about. Yes, hands down, you're right. So my time commitment is going to be wide open in the summertime, and I'm interviewing for a job at the Cambridge Police Department right now. I've gotten to the second leg of it, so I should be there on campus a lot more.
Thank you. And Nathan?
Well, well, to be able to talk about my time commitments, first I'm going to talk about my family. I am a proud husband. I've got two little boys. They're my world. And before I ever started anything with HESA, okay, we had a little family council and I let them know that this is something I wanted to do. And they've been very gracious and allow me to be able to carve out that time. I'm an ALM degree candidate in field of government. And like Jess, I'm taking one class at a time. I do have a full-time job. I do volunteer with my church. But at the same time, I've made this my consistently, persistently, I've carved out time for HESA because it means something, because our community means something. And I think that the people who are involved, right, they deserve to have someone who's going to be able to show up and show out. And that's something I try to do every time I'm with HESA.
Thank you. And Eunice?
Yes, so for the past year, I've taken full-time courses, so 4 courses, and I did that so I can quickly fill up my requirements. So going forward, I would only need to take a course a semester. I also have been volunteering at my church in Philadelphia every first Sunday, serving at their food pantry, and also have been serving my community as a reading coach. And I've held those positions for 6, 7 years. So I'm very committed and focused to causes that I deeply care about. I also am a short-term research assistant right now, which ends in the summer. And for the past 3 years, I've been caring for my mom. So that's my form of employment as a home caregiver. But other than that, my volunteer service, and I'm committed to this.
Thank you. Alina?
Some information about me is that I'm currently living with my husband, and also I'm taking care of a chinchilla. I call her Sesame. So she's very cute and adorable. And I want to say, like, chinchilla is the best pet ever. When it comes to treasurer position, I understand that the frequency and format, it may depends on HESA's tradition and the needs. In my previous student association position, we prepare and submit financial statements on a monthly basis. So while I am working full-time and part-time at HES, I'm happy to dedicate around 5 hours per week, mostly on weekends, to support this role. Please feel free to correct me if I need more information about reporting and the expectation, and I'm more willing to undergo any training needed or to align with the HESA procedure and standard. Thank you.
Thank you. And for treasurer, that's probably a sufficient amount of time. It's not as time intensive as the others. President and vice president can be average probably 20 to 30 hours per week. Directors, depending on the director role, anywhere from 10 to 30 hours. And treasurers, probably the least. Treasurer and secretary are probably like 5 hours a week at the most. So I think you're right within there, Alina. All right. Robel?
Hi again. Before applying to this position, I did ask around to see what type of commitment it needs. And I'm committed to that purpose. And usually whatever it takes, I'm around. I have a son who just finished high school and started college. So I've got enough time. But most of all, I'm committed to the purpose. And whatever it takes, I'll be around.
Thank you. And Paul.
So, admittedly, I have no life out of school lately, but that is by choice. And I guess my greatest commitment in my life are my two German shepherds named Huckleberry and Lulu. I work part time as a landscaper, but I can set my own schedule to prioritize schoolwork and HESA stuff. I'm enrolled in 2 classes for this semester, spring 2025, but I will be taking 1 class per semester until I graduate in spring of 2026. These are going to be 2 statistics classes, which are usually intense, but I will use these courses to inform my role at HESA and do some surveys and statistical analysis on students. And this will give me plenty of time to focus on HESA.
Thank you. And I will hand it over to Kirsten for the next round of questioning.
Thank you very much. Liz, if you don't mind doing the timer for me, I'm not as good at multitasking as you are.
Whoever clicks it first.
You got it. Thank you. All right. Question number 4 is, how many, if any, HESA events have you previously attended, and which ones have you attended? Jess, we are starting with you again. I've done a lot. One, if we're talking about historical past before this year, there was probably like, say, 4 or 5. This year, there have been 3 that I've hosted, another 2 that are coming up, and I'm helping others create some regional events so that they can do that. So that should be another 5 that I'm helping organize. On top of that, I've done all but one of the general assemblies and thereafter, like the talks with the professors. And then I'm also going to be attending Paul's art therapy one that's coming up. And there was a couple others that I can't remember the name of right now, but I'm always trying to either support or go to an event in order to make sure that HESA is successful.
Thank you very much.
And Miranda, same question for you. How many HESA events have you previously attended, if any, and which ones?
Well, as a distance learner, I have attended almost every single virtual event that we've had, unless I was sick or had a sick child. But what I learned more so is how to prioritize with intention attendance. I am really proud of the fact that I have not just attended events, but I have been integral in shaping and pushing out the events. I've been a part of every General Assembly except I think one. I was stuck on a mountain, you guys, in the snow. It was crazy. We had no internet. But I have been a part of the DEIB initiatives, social campaigns that just bring events to life for students, both online and on campus. And I'm really excited because as a CASA, I do have about 30 hours a week that I input. I won't have that obligation as I go into my thesis in the fall and spring, and being on campus will mean that I am able to be in person on the ground and just excited to share. And sorry, thank you.
Thank you. I hate cutting people off because I'm
Right.
always that girl. All right. And moving on, thank you so much. We will go to Nathan next. Same question.
All right. Can I have the question again?
No problem. So
Thanks.
it is, how many HESA events have you previously attended and which
Great.
ones were they?
Right. Let's see here. As I've stated previously, I've been so fortunate to be able to have the time available to do it. And so I have attended every General Assembly and every board meeting since September of 2022. So that has been a very big priority. And Sunday night, there. This year during General Assemblies, there. Stay for the professor spotlights if you can. But also, I think it's important to attend that for fun events. Or I'd say I've always loved the paint and sip, right? Because I've seen that's probably one of the very first events that I went to have a chance to be able to relax and be able to talk about something other than academics. And it was such a really good stress relief. And it was such a good way to be able to meet people. And it got me really interested in how that's been a blessing and a joy to me.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Moving on to Eunice, the same question, which was how many HESA events have you previously attended? And if so, which ones?
I have not previously served in HESA before, so immediately, honestly, I've not attended many HESA events. I have attended about 3, and one of them was a sustainability chat. And I think actually my experience highlights this gap or need in events, especially for remote students. A lot of students can dismiss events thinking that, oh, it'll be on campus anyway, or even if it's online, how do I engage? And following the HESA social media platforms, I realized that awareness events or engagement with events seems to be low. And I think that's something that the board needs to work on. And the current board, I know, has started the Worthy Wednesdays meeting, which I think is very meaningful. And I know that the current board has worked a lot to create new events. But going forward, I think there's a lot of room for opportunity.
Thank you so much, Eunice. And now, same question, Alina. How many HESA events have you attended, if any, and which ones, if so?
Okay, that's a great question. I haven't had a chance to attend many events so far, but I've made me realize that I definitely want to be more involving going forward. And I'm really looking forward to meet more amazing students in the HES community. So as part of the organization, I hope I can support others while actively engage with the HESA. I've subscribed to the newsletter to make sure I stay updated on all upcoming events and opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. And now moving to Director of Technology, Robel, would you mind answering? How many HESA events have you attended, if any, and which ones?
I haven't attended any HESA events in the past. And that's also one of the drives that I have, that I need to contribute more this time around. And hence the admission or the application for this position. But I haven't attended any past events before. Thank you.
Thank you, Robel. And last, Paul, how many HESA events have you attended, if any, and which ones?
So I have recently organized a HESA event that takes place on campus on April 7th for art therapy to counteract academic burnout. I encourage everybody to attend. I volunteered at both of the HESA volunteer nights at the Harvard Square Homeless Shelter since I've been on the board. And of course, HESA has their online events such as General Assemblies and Professor Spotlight events, which I've attended all of them. And finally, I've never missed a weekly HESA board meeting since I joined the board in October of 2025. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you so much. And I believe that it is still my turn to ask the questions of the current board candidates only. So I'll try not to mess this up. So starting with Jess, the next question is, what was your biggest contribution to HESA in your current role during the current term? Please go ahead.
Oh, that's hard to distill. But I think the biggest one is having consistency and building community. One of the things that I promised when I became VP was to do regional events, meeting people where they are. We've talked about this even in this conversation of how we are distributed and getting that up and running, helping support my team to make sure that they can host local events where they live and giving them that infrastructure to grow and thrive within their own areas, but also just making sure I'm available. I'm always on WhatsApp chats, like answering questions about graduation. I've given a whole presentation on what to expect around graduation, and I'm not graduating this year. I did last year. I want people to have access to knowledge and know that they are supported. So I think the consistency of always messaging and being chronically online has been really, really helpful.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Miranda, same question. What was your biggest contribution to HESA in your current role during the current term?
Okay, so I would say that my biggest contribution as Director of Communications was transforming the way that HESA connects with students. I've done this through systems, strategy, and honestly, intentional storytelling. I have an amazing team member and my deputy director who has just really curated a really beautiful palette of communication. The aesthetic that we created is fantastic. Within the first month of taking on this role, I created a brand kit for HESA and shared it with the board. It streamlined our digital platforms. And the thing that I think I'm the most proud of is that looking at our analytics, and it was really important for me to quantify where were we starting, how are we doing, and where are we going. We have had over 26,000 views in the last 3 months compared to this same time last year. This DOC office has had the most engagement, as I can tell, that any communications office has had in the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then, Nathan, what was your biggest contribution to HESA in your current role during the current term?
Probably, so I'm going to divide this into a two-part. The first part is learning how to be able to push back respectfully, because I think whenever we get ideas going, right, it's great to have wonderful ideas, but when it comes to ideas, right, we are surrounded by people who are so creative, so bright, but it's also trying to push back advising to have a refinement of those ideas. And I think I think it's that refinement. I think it's that professionalism that we're able to carry into our meetings with the dean and with the Office of Student Affairs, when we're advocating for students, and we're also advocating for HESA to be recognized as the official student government of the Harvard Extension School. Distilling good ideas, trying to make them better, and carrying that sense of pride and professionalism into those meetings. I think that would be it.
Thank you very much, Nathan. And since, again, we're just talking to the current board members, we'll skip to Paul. Same question. What was your biggest contribution to HESA in your current role during the current term?
Before we skip to Paul, I just want to remind everyone that Tim did share in his video because he's a current board member. He mentioned the website transfer.
Yes, exactly. Paul, over to you.
Okay. Yeah, my most significant contribution to HESA during my current role is probably organizing the art therapy event that I mentioned previously. And like finding an art therapist who's willing to host the event, getting permission for the event, booking the room, creating a budget. These were all very valuable experiences that helped me cut my learning curve in understanding the dynamics of HESA's placement in the Harvard ecosystem and really helped prepare me for this role. Spearheading an event like this as a deputy has really proven my commitment to this board, and I think far greater than any one event as a contribution is a committed board member. Thank you.
Excellent. Lindsay, I cede the floor back to you.
All right. Now we are going to start asking questions just to certain positions. We're going to start with president. So each presidential candidate is going to answer these questions. We will give you a minute. Do we have time? We're running low on time. We might go over an hour. Does anyone need to go, or are we okay continuing? Let's see. All right. I'm seeing approval for staying. All right. So the first question is, the role of HESA president is at the very least a 15-hour per week time commitment, usually 20 to 25 hours, and sometimes up to 40 hours per week. This per week. How do you plan to ensure you can make time for the demands of the position? This is a balancing act that I've been learning over the last months here. So just would like to throw that out there. And we will start with Jess.
Timer. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the main thing is saying that I've already been doing it. I've been giving these 25 hours, these 10 hours, whenever. There is no off time in this job. You are always getting an email. I got an email at 6 a.m. this morning. I'm not alive at 6 a.m. But I made sure that when I woke up, it was like the first thing I did. It is carving out those specific times. I've made sure that my schedule is aligned with it. My current job is aligned with it. I have done so much to make sure that this role is properly done because it's what the students deserve. And I think if you can't do that, you're doing such a huge disservice to yourself, the community. And I want to make sure that they know that I'm not sleeping on the job. I am here. Say hi, come in my DMs and tell me what needs to change. I really want to hear from students. And I've been balancing all these plates for the last year.
Thank you. And Miranda.
I absolutely agree with Jess. I hit the ground running when I was elected last year. Within the first month, I had had no idea that we had a narrative from our leadership, but I had a complete plan of how the next 10 months was going to go, and it was laid out in a 50-page document. I take this commitment really seriously. Like most students here, I juggle a lot from parenthood, coursework, a production company. That's what I do. I failed to share with you all of that. I own an independent film company. We are the fastest growing company that's women owned, BIPOC led in the Southeast. And nobody gave it to me. I had to create my own yes. I taught myself CSS. I mean, this is why I say I'm a jack of all trades, but I am a master of a few. But I had to teach myself how to do these things. And you don't do that without knowing how to manage your time. I'm already putting in 15 hours as the director of communications every week. And as I said, as I move toward
Sorry, got to cut you off.
It's okay.
All right. Second question. We'll start with Jess again. How would you handle a difficult situation with another board member?
This is super important. I have definitely run into this in the past. And I think one of the things that you have to try to do is really, one, take a step back. Two, don't try to write that story for them. If you are having any kind of confrontation, if you sit there and you say, oh, well, they're doing this because of this, it could have nothing to do with you. It could be a very small miscommunication. So it's really about going to that person and saying, hey, let's just talk for a minute. I typically am very easy to talk to. I just want to get to the bottom of it. That's generally all I'm ever trying to do because I don't want miscommunications to happen. And so let's fix it. Let's figure out how to work best together. Let's figure out your communication style. Let's make sure that we problem solve together and collaboratively. And that's how I've done it while in this role, is stepping up and saying, hey, let's have a meeting. Let's just jump on a call. Let's set some parameters in place. Let's make sure we're both in very safe environments to have maybe a tough conversation. I try to just be very safe in those spaces.
Thank you. And Miranda, same question. It's how would you handle a difficult situation with another board member?
Okay, so I think accountability, compassion, when you communicate, and directness are really important. If a conflict arises, I always go back to, now I'm not going to age myself, you guys, but if you give a hoot, don't pollute, that whole sort of like Smokey the Bear education, where it taught us how to not litter, but also how to have interpersonal skills when we had problems. Remember little Timmy? Anyway, I think going to someone privately first is really important. People say that shame is a really good teacher, and it is, but I think it's inappropriate in an environment like this that has a diplomatic and democratic process. I think that it's important to center self-accountability. And like Jess said, which I love that I'm agreeing with you because I think this is just fantastic, but being able to not tell yourself the story about what someone else's story is, but to get curious about what that story is.
Thank you. And last question, last scripted question for presidential candidates. What strategies would you specifically use to build stronger relationships between HESA and Harvard administration? In this position, you work very closely with obviously the whole HESA board, but also with the school administration. You meet with the DCE office and also sometimes with the OSA. Jess.
I am a pretty direct communicator, but I think one of the things that has really been great in my development with relationship with DCE and OSA has been the fact that I am really direct and I ask for the things that we need, but I also do it really respectfully and professionally. I understand where our limitations are and I'm willing to push those boundaries when we need to because it's what's best for the students. But at the same time, I am respectful of the fact that they're protecting an institution and we need to make sure that we are working collaboratively because we will get nothing done if we don't have a productive relationship. And I can say that this year we have turned the relationship between admin completely around with HESA. We were really fighting for our lives this year. And this year we've had one of the most productive relationship building experiences that I can speak to in all of HESA. And I'm really proud of us.
Thank you. And same question for Miranda. Just a reminder, what strategies would you specifically use to build stronger relationships between HESA and Harvard administration?
Okay, so on this one, I'm going to respectfully disagree with Jess. I know I just said the thing about directness, but here's the thing. Directness is important when you're starting on the same playing field as someone, when you have the same sort of position of power. But when you have a power imbalance, and this is just my personal experience, nuance is really important. So for me, I would be consistent. I would establish regular check-ins with key DCE and Harvard contacts. And I would also really, in my culture, we call it finessing. And I think centering the ability to compromise, work with them, and not make it transactional, but make it relational. I really would love to invite the administration to participate in some of the student-led events. They may not come, but a lot of times extending that olive branch of welcome and assuming welcome is just enough to get you over that hump of confusion or conflict. Again, as I started, transparency is key, and I would just work to align. Sorry,
All right,
guys.
you gotta cut you off. All right, and I'm handing it over to Kirsten, who will be asking our vice president candidates their question.
Yes, I shall. All right, Vice President candidates. First question, we'll start with Nathan. First question is, how do you plan to support the goals of the HESA president? Oh, Nathan, you are still muted.
I am still muted. All right. Sorry. Thank you.
We'll restart.
Right. Thank you so much. I think whoever becomes president, the main thing is sitting down with them and really trying to get to know them both up from their point of vision and also for them as a person, because different people have different needs. Basically, I think the role of the vice president is to fill in the gaps and then maybe present with the current president to be able to be the assistant that they need to be. I think I can do that from a position of experience and also respectful questioning. I think that is probably the key thing there is being respectful, being mindful of what's being able to be achieved. Also, I think it's having the institutional knowledge of stuff that's happened before and seeing if whatever current idea that they have, if that's something that looks like it could be successful. But mainly is just how can I help? What can I do? And I'm here to support you and HESA.
Thank you, Nathan. Eunice, the same question. How do you plan to support the goals of the HESA president?
I recognize that the president is a very heavy role with a lot of responsibilities. And so they can't have 10 bodies. I will be sharing those responsibilities and ensuring that the goals align with the interests of a student body. I would be proactive and it's a position where you have to be on your feet, reaching out, making sure that the communication between directors and president is clear. And I would also be talking and collaborating with the president to make sure that our goals are met.
Thank you very much. Going back to you, Nathan, number 2 question is, can you give an example of how you've managed conflict within a diverse team? And what strategies do you use for effective conflict resolution? It's a twofer.
Okay. Well, I've had to do night exercises, right? Back when I was in the state guard, and there's no experience like being lost in the woods. All right. And then about having to deal with people from different backgrounds. We were a team that was just put together. I did not really know these people. All right. And we were dealing with people with different various experience levels. And so having to get to the heart of the matter. And I think that for any good conflict resolution, there has to be no ego. You got to put that ego off to the side or something like that and be solution oriented. And so we're able to overcome that. I think getting to the heart of the problem, being respectful, being willing to listen and humble yourself. I think those are important things because there's always somebody out there that can have a different perspective, and that perspective might be the right one. And so basically, whatever we have to do to be inclusive, that's how you solve the problem.
Thank you, Nathan. And then turning to you again, Eunice, can you give an example of how you've managed conflict within a diverse team, and what strategies do you use for effective conflict resolution?
Yes, while managing goal dipping, there were a lot of points of conflicts between students, mentors, local teachers, and even parents. But even in all those conflicts, I've always started with empathy and understanding. Despite all our differences, at the end of the day, we are all gathered at HESA to serve our student body and to really represent our cares for this association and the school. We all want to do better to serve the school. And I think when we are thinking about our goals and our mission, our differences shouldn't matter. And we should always try to understand each other first. Like, are you having a bad week? Is something going on? Reaching out, always opening that line of communication and not deteriorating it, and also building trust. Excuse me, I had a little cough. But I would trust all the directors. Oh,
Thank you, Eunice. I appreciate it. And then final question for our vice president candidates, starting with Nathan. In the president's absence, how would you ensure consistent communication and maintain momentum on critical student issues?
I think first off is watching, learning, observing what the rhythm might be for the current president. And also and once again, it's taking the time to be able to reach out to people, be able to reach out to the directors, be able to reach out to the student body. And I think that is having that communication and knowing what you know and seeking out what you don't know. And let's face it, our institution is facing a lot of different issues at this time. All right. And we have lots of different problems. We have lots of different struggles, but I am confident in this student body that we have the tools, the ability to be able to overcome those challenges, right? And be able to guide Harvard right through these challenging times. So in essence, I think if I have to assume the role of president, it's coming from a place of seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Thank you very much. And then Eunice, question goes to you as well. In the president's absence, how would you ensure consistent communication and maintain, rather, momentum on critical student issues?
I think it's important to always have an understanding of what our priorities are and to make sure that our timelines are not distracted in the absence of the president. You never know what can happen. But I also, as the vice president, I want to step in and make sure that I can delegate and prioritize to make sure we are continuing to serve the student body in their best interest. And I think that understanding is also very important in maintaining our momentum and understanding and observing what the student issues are. Always encouraging discussion, especially from students, but also reaching out first and communicating that back up to the board. And that's all.
That's perfect. Thank you, Eunice. And Lindsay, it's back to you.
All right. Questions for Director of Technology. And oh, you know what? Good. I was gonna say I don't know if Tim answered these, but he did answer these in his video. So those are covered. Robel, question number 1. What experience do you have related to any of the following? And these are some of the things that might be standard under the role of Director of Technology. Troubleshooting organization email accounts. That has been a thing that our team has been really good at helping with this year, and it came up at the very beginning. Preparing and uploading videos to YouTube and managing a website.
Yeah. So, as I said earlier, I've helped about 50 small business owners within my community on basically designing their websites through WordPress, hosting, and all the social, the video, all the aspects. So I've done that in the past. And in my current work, I still do troubleshooting. I focus on product development, but it's mostly fixing problems, like understanding root problems, root issues, then fixing problems. So I've done that in the past.
Thank you. And the second question, we just have two for Director of Technology. The second one is, what ideas do you have to leverage technology to improve student engagement and accessibility for HESA initiatives?
Okay, so that one I probably need to think more, but as a general rule, any technology should amplify what the HESA values are. So amplifying, reaching, engagement, like I'll focus on those variables, and I don't have a specific idea on how to go about it. I would look at what has been done, like what has worked and what needs improvement, then I'll go from there.
Thank you. And I will pass it back to Kirsten for our final set of questions for Director of Community and Public Service.
Blends. This happens to be my role for anyone who is unacquainted with it. So these are all going to be questions that I know are a challenge. So, Paul, number one, how do you plan to recruit student volunteers for the on campus activities that are part of this role?
So, as a lifelong learner and former undergraduate student who was hungry most of the time, you'd be surprised the lengths students are willing to go for free pizza. But aside from pizza, I plan to conduct anonymous surveys to gain better insight into students' passions during my term. Understanding where students' passions lie will provide statistical data to inform HESA's decision-making process on how to recruit students to enthusiastically volunteer for the causes they care most about. Gaining statistical insights into students' passions through anonymous surveys to foster enthusiasm, plus some free pizza, is a great recipe to recruit students for on-campus activities.
Thank you very much. Question number two. What strategies do you propose to make public service opportunities more accessible to HES students, especially for students outside the US?
So I plan to work closely with OSA and DCE to understand what can and cannot be approved to make public service opportunities more accessible to students. Understanding the gap between what students want and what HESA can be approved for is the first step, both locally and internationally. As a sustainability student, I understand that the rate of natural disasters around the globe is increasing dramatically. Mobilizing HES students to respond to disasters around the world is a problem that presents an opportunity for international students to participate in public service. The Harvard Extension School ambassadors can be used as an asset to strategize this initiative. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And your final question is this. What experience have you had with donor engagement and other types of public service stakeholder management?
So I spent a number of years volunteering with a guerrilla gardening group that we'd get famous DJs and bands to show up in empty lots in historically underserved and predominantly minority communities in cities throughout the United States. And when fans would show up to the empty lot to see their favorite musician, our organization would hand them farm tools. And while their favorite musician played, so as a farmer and rancher, it was my responsibility to supply the farm tools, which were donated by local farmers and ranchers I engaged with. And by the end of the day, the work of hundreds of unsuspecting fans would turn an empty lot into a community food forest or food garden for communities experiencing food insecurity. This experience gave me firsthand experience in how to use creativity to harness passion to drive social change. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our questions.
Yeah, I want to apologize to Alina. We didn't write any questions for the treasurer. The position has been very simple the last few years, and this year especially, we haven't even been given a budget yet, so there are
That's okay.
you're overqualified for the position, and the team will be very what's the right word? Like like they will be
Excited.
very yes, very excited to have. I was trying to think of a better word, but yes, they'll be very excited to have you. So we don't have any like pre-written questions for you. But if any audience members have questions that they would like to ask of any of the candidates, we can give a couple of minutes for that. Otherwise, we will conclude.
I don't have a question, but I do want to say that it was such a privilege serving with and on the board this year. And it was such a beautiful experience to evolve our reputation, our efficiency, our ability to work together. And for the people that have worked here or that haven't done this before, you have no idea how wonderful this is and what we're handing you. And I am so excited to see what you guys do next year. And thank you in advance for preserving what we've done and for evolving it.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you. All right. I think that concludes our event. Thank you all for attending. We'll make sure to get the recording out, even if I'm just posting the recording to the Zoom link itself. If we can't get it up on YouTube quick enough, I will make sure that we share that this week and maybe even tonight. We'll see, just to make sure that all students are able to access it and able to hear the answers of the questions or the answers to the questions that we asked here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Everyone, great job. Great job,
Thank you so
everybody.
much.
Luck to everyone.
Appreciate this.
You.
Good luck,
Thank you for
everyone.
your service.
Bye bye.
Bye.